That wasn't the Berlin Philharmonic or the Chicago Symphony. That was your own Victoria Symphony Orchestra back in 2003 when I had the distinct privilege of playing the solo trumpet part in Mahler 5. Hi, my name is Jack Burt. I was principal trumpet of the Victoria Symphony for around 10 years, I think, from around 1993 or 4 till 2004, when I left Texas to take a position at the University of Maine, from where I speak right now. I've been the trumpet professor at the University of Maine since 2004, and Daryl O'Neill has asked me to talk a little bit about my time in Victoria. I couldn't talk about my time in Victoria without talking about that concert. That was one of the concerts that I think I enjoyed my profession more than any other time. It was nerve-wracking. My heart was beating a million times a second at the beginning of the piece. But I don't think I ever enjoyed being in an orchestra or playing with my colleagues or playing with a conductor as much as I did that night. I have lots of great memories of playing in the Victoria Symphony. At that time, I was trumpet professor at Texas A&M University, Kingsville. And many of my Kingsville colleagues and Del Mar colleagues and Corpus Christi colleagues would come to Victoria to play our weekend concerts. It was always a special time to come there because it was a time away from our regular jobs, away from our home life, and we could go hang out in Victoria for a couple of days, play some great music, hang out with friends, and play what usually was a lot of fun, the concerts. Another concert I remember was when Daryl programmed the Second Brandenburg Concerto by Bach. It's a very challenging piece, not one you can always assume that the trumpet player can or will want to play because it's so high, but it was something that I'd always looked forward to playing, and I enjoyed that one very much. All these concerts that I did took place in the old Victoria College Auditorium. I never got to play in that nice fancy hall that you have now. As I said, I've been now for 16 years professor of trumpet at the University of Maine. Part of this video I'll show you later is are some of the reasons I chose to move to Maine. Most involved my family, my wife who grew up in Maine, and our two boys. I teach in my office here, but I have a lot of other reasons for loving Maine, which is the outdoors. And I'll show you a little bit of that later in the video. What I'd like to do now, though, is show you a little bit of my office, my memory wall, as it were. So I'm speaking to you from my office, my desk where I teach. Here's all my teaching materials, trumpet etudes, method books, solos, my books for classes, CDs, and then I have a thing I call my memory wall, which is I like to put up posters of concerts I've done, recitals my students have played, memorials of past students who've passed away, my family. I spend a lot of time in this office. Well, I normally do. COVID being a little different, I teach differently now, and I'll explain that later. But here's a poster for a concert I did in Austria. Since 2010, I've gone to Austria every summer to play concerts in the European Brass Ensemble. It's a great large brass ensemble that I'm the only American member of. And we play in this beautiful courtyard at the Abbey in Melk, Austria. It's a beautiful Benedictine Abbey. If ever you've done Danube River cruises, you've probably sailed past that. Here's a poster for an exhibit on Gustav Mahler and Vienna. I did a sabbatical in 2010, and that was a Mahler year in which it was the 150th anniversary of his birth. And the Austrian Theater Museum did an exhibit called Gustav Mahler und Wien, Gustav Mahler in Vienna. And I always love this particular photo of Mahler. He looks so thoughtful, as well as this quote, "Leider bleibe ich ein eingefleischter Wiener," which translates as, "Sadly, I remain Viennese to the bone." Mahler was Jewish and suffered under some of the Jewish prejudices against Jews in Vienna at the turn of the century. But he was such an astonishing musician that he held the position of the court opera the court opera conductor and music director, the highest position in Vienna, in Austria. And they fought each other tooth and nail. He was respected and reviled almost equally during his time in Vienna. So there's an interesting story there, Mahler in Vienna. This is a program from a concert I saw in Berlin, West Berlin in 1980 with von Karajan and Bruckner 5, a poster for a premiere of a concerto I played, and then the rest of my CDs. And Daryl, of course, will get this. He understands. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little tour of my office. As I said, I don't teach in this office very much anymore because of COVID. I have given my office over to my students to come in and take lessons. I teach from home remotely via Zoom or at our camp. A camp is a particularly Maine concept. It's basically a cabin or a house on a lake. And we have one of those in my wife's families. And so I go there to teach all day on some days. And it's quite beautiful. And I'll show it to you. So I'll see you there in just a second. So here I am in my, I guess we could call it my COVID office. I'm at our camp, which is a lakeside camp in the state of Maine. And I teach my lessons here at least on one day a week because I have to spend the whole day on Zoom. And so I decided to do it in a pretty place, as you can see why. So we have my USB microphone, my computer, my trumpets, a music stand, all the things I need to teach with. And either at home or at camp, this is how we do our lessons. Most of my students meet me in my office while I'm either here at camp or I'm in my home. My summer project was an etude project where I recorded 186 etudes, all in one take. No editing, no improvements, as a way to keep practicing during the COVID pandemic. When we're all locked in our homes and unable to perform, we got to keep our chops up. This was my way of doing it. It's all on YouTube under my channel, Jack Burt. So when I'm done with a lesson and I have a minute break, I often just step outside and chill. This lake is about 20 minutes outside of Bangor, Maine. It's called Phillips Lake, or the locals call it Lucerne. It's a beautiful lake. The water is crystal clear. It's a spring-fed lake fed by mountains around it. In the summertime, it's populated with loons, where you hear the wonderful loon call. They're gone now because it's heading towards winter. And as you can see, we're in a beautiful fall day. So this is where I go to teach. So COVID's in some ways not so bad. But I thought you would enjoy a view of a beautiful fall day in the great state of Maine. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little video presentation. I'd like to go inside and end this with a performance of a piccolo trumpet etude. As I said earlier, I spent the summer COVID isolation by recording over 180 trumpet etudes and posting them on YouTube. This was to keep my chops in shape, keep myself busy. And since none of us were playing anything, you know, trumpet players are like athletes. We have to stay in shape. And so that's what I did. And I'll end with one that I didn't record yet. So I'm looking forward to playing it for you now. It's a etude by Philip Collins, who was the former principal trumpet of the Cincinnati Orchestra. The piccolo trumpet is kind of a squirrely little instrument, can cause us lots of difficulties, and this book does a great job of getting us through those problems. I think you'll enjoy it. It's got a great kind of jaunty, Baroque, Bach, Handel kind of sound, and I hope you enjoy it. So thank you very much for watching, and I really hope that the Victoria Symphony can get together soon and play for you again. I know the orchestra misses you, and I know you miss the orchestra. So greetings to everybody from Maine.